So, I guess I should say, who exactly are you?
Who am I? My name is Matty Grace. I am a transgender woman currently living in Ottawa, Ontario. Originally, I guess from Halifax, Nova Scotia. Originally,
I think you're from the New Brunswick originally.
yeah,
right?
I grew up in Miramichi, New Brunswick, and then I moved to Halifax when I was like 16, 15, 16, and then. Yeah, I use she, they pronouns. I play in the bands Crisis Party and Cluttered and Zeal and a dozen more. And I play as a solo artist. And that's kind of all I got.
I've seen your name written as Matty Disgrace.
Yeah, okay. So that's, yeah, for sure. The year was 2005. My last name has always been Grace. I've never changed my last name. That is my parents' last name. That is whatever is Grace.
Yeah.
And I was outside of a bar in Halifax with a couple friends, and we were conversing, and they were like talking about punk names because one person in particular had the nickname Brucifer. His name was Bruce. He got Brucifer.
Okay, that's good.
And I was like, well, what would my punk name be? And they were like, Matty Disgrace. Your last name is Grace. Disgrace. Mm-hmm. There you go. But I kept it because it's pretty on brand. Like I was like, oh, that's cool. I like the way that like I like this. And also, yep. Like fucking well, I'm just enough of a walking disaster that I don't feel bad for using disgrace as a term.
A lot of like these nicknames are like very like self-deprecating.
Yeah, I've been told I'm self-effacing. I'm told that's a thing that I do.
Okay. Right.
And self-deprecation and self-effacing they kind of go hand in hand.
Okay, cool. So I'm gonna like how do I start this case? So you grew up in a small town in New Brunswick,
yeah,
and then you moved to Halifax.
Yeah, I moved to Halifax for school. I graduated from high school, and it felt like the only escape from the redneck small town I lived in.
Oh, so you spent up until high school in New Brunswick?
Yeah.
Oh, geez, and you said it was kind of like a hick town.
Oh yeah, completely. Yeah, I grew up in a place called Miramichi, New Brunswick. I don't recommend people visit there.
Okay.
Especially if you're, say, a queer person or a person of color or anybody like a punk or really anybody who like is outside of the norm of what is considered acceptable society.
What would be the consequences? What would happen? Like
either nothing or full blown hate crime. Like there's no in between. Like there's no like you can't. I haven't visited in like 12 years. I haven't gone back in a long time.
Did your parents live there? Or?
My mom lives there.
Okay.
My mom and my aunt, and like cousins and stuff. But yeah, I don't go back. I had such a hard time growing up there that I have a lot of like really uncomfortable and bad memories. So yeah, okay. I just don't like. What's the point of exposing myself to that shit again? And I know it's different as an adult because I have full autonomy and I can fight back and I can do all of those things I couldn't do when I was a kid. But at the same time, like, I don't know, it's just way easier to not.
I hope I'm not like, crossing a boundary. Like, were there like certain instances of like people being like bullying you and stuff? Or, like,
constantly. Yeah, I was essentially assaulted and bullied every day for like 12 years.
That's horrible, man.
Yeah, it fucking sucks. I fat, repressed queer, neurodivergent kid who only liked punk music and pro wrestling.
Pro wrestling, that's an interesting combination, actually.
Yeah, there's some overlap. But like I liked really nerdy shit. It's really funny now that like nerd culture or geek culture is so popular because like I remember when I would like read comic books and get my ass kicked.
I remember, you know, what's his name? Michael Cera or something like that. I was like older than he was, and I'm like, man, I missed the boat. If only I was in high school when he was popular, I would be like much more of a popular person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there was a lot of like when I graduated, there was a lot of like, oh, in 5 to 10 years, this would have been fine. But right now is challenging.
But was it, so you're saying like the whole upbringing was horrible? Was horrible? You think? Yeah. Like, well, so you think?
I mean, it was really challenging. My dad was not really around. He worked away a lot, so it kind of felt like we were being raised by a single parent.
Okay.
I have a complicated relationship with my folks because, as a lot of queer people do.
Yeah.
I love them and I wish them the best, but like there are times where I have to take space from them and things, and like from my parents, and I think it's really healthy and it makes a lot of sense.
I hope if I'm crossing any boundaries, let me know.
Yeah.
Are they mad at you about something, or do they not accept like who you are? Or, sorry, I have like a gay friend who has like a really bad time with his dad, and it's like.
Well, I think they have a hard time. They have a hard time with me being trans.
Yeah.
They struggle with that. My dad, I've saw Crisis Party did a West Coast tour and a Maritimes tour recently. And I saw all of my immediate family. I saw my sister, my dad, my stepmom, and my mom all within 3 weeks.
Yeah.
My stepmom is rad. She's cool as hell. My dad he tries really hard. He's like got kind of like a crunchy, like tough guy exterior, but he's like, he does try really hard.
So like he still like he loves you.
Yeah, my parents love me. Like I have no doubt in my mind about that. But there's only so many times that I can like take being called by my dead name, or like so many times where it's like, yo, I've been out for 8 years. Like you should probably figure out that I'm a girl by now.
Yeah.
Like that kind of shit. And I don't think, because I don't really see them that often, I think it's harder for them. Like specifically my mom, I think she's the kind of person that needs like new things to be drilled into her. Repeatedly, like, this is your daughter, this is your daughter, this is your daughter, this is your daughter, like that kind of shit, because otherwise she immediately reverts and she'll like misgender me, and it's kind of embarrassing. Like she came to the show that Crisis Party played in Moncton, and Tony and Jeff met her. And within like the first 30 seconds, she had dead named me and misgendered me and all of these things. And Jeff and Tony like knew me before I came out, so like not really a big surprise. But you could tell, like, it made me uncomfortable, and it could tell it was like my bandmates were like, this really sucks. I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry that you're going through this right now.
Yeah, okay.
And then Crisis Party played, and I proceeded to shout and stare directly at my mom while we played.
Was she getting the message?
I don't know. We didn't really talk about it. It was kind of uncomfortable, but I sometimes take a little bit of pleasure in the discomfort of things, especially if I know that maybe I'm making somebody think about something a different way. I'll sit with that discomfort.
I just thought something just off the top of my head that I feel like I need to apologize for.
Yeah.
It's actually completely benign, but we had played a show at Live on Elgin one time.
Yeah, with Cluttered.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And so the song, the chorus goes, "Don't hold your breath."
Yeah, it's called "Don't Hold Your Breath."
Okay, so making sure I wasn't quite sure.
Yeah, that song's about death.
But at the end of the song, I yelled, "Don't hold your breath," and you were like looking at the crowd like, "What the fuck did that person just say?" And like someone thought, I think people thought I was like harassing you. I was yelling the chorus out anyway.
No, I remember that, and I took it as a positive because I really like crowd engagement.
Okay. Right.
Also, if you were heckling me, I would have made you cry because I got really good. Like, Cluttered opened for Propaganda last year, and I made a heckler feel so bad that he had to leave. His partner tapped him on the shoulder and took him out of the bar.
You're like a stand-up comedian.
I make this joke, but like a lot of front people and musicians want to be comedians, and a lot of comedians wish they played in a rock band.
I've heard that analogy before.
Yeah, totally. They're very similar lifestyles.
Okay,
very similar lifestyles. That was sick. That was that Live on Elgin show was great. Like, for introducing, I had already kind of had it in my head that I was planning to move. I had talked about moving to Ottawa in like 2016.
So can we rewind? How did so you're playing in bands in Halifax
And still am.
Yeah, actually, was another question in itself. Is like how are you going back and forth and playing?
Luckily, I play with very skilled musicians, so everybody does their homework.
Yeah.
So it's like I get into we have shows. Say we have shows Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or something.
Yeah.
I'll get into town Wednesday. We'll jam Wednesday, Thursday.
But
go Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Cheap airlines have helped.
but like I guess the idea is like all like everyone. Like you've recorded together and the songs have been played. It's about refreshing yourself, right? Are you making new songs and then playing them that weekend?
Yeah, sometimes.
Holy shit, that's fucking crazy. That's really admirable. That's fucking crazy.
A lot of cluttered stuff. Minus "Give Me" and "Apathy and Exhaustion," two of the new songs that we did.
Yeah.
I play all the instruments except for drums. Dylan plays drums. I do all the other stuff. Becca and I do vocals, and then because I demo everything myself and I record everything myself. And we kind of have been like doing that. First demo was done that way. Accidents EP was done that way. Dysphoria City Limits was done that way. Like,
man, sorry, this conversation is like I can go in so many different directions.
Yeah, totally.
Sorry, I completely believe everything you're saying. So I have a question. Okay, this is so when you play drums on a demo,
I don't play drums.
Okay,
Dylan plays drums.
Okay, so you demo it with Dylan. Okay,
I demo it with like the Logic, like standard Ramones drum beat thing.
Okay.
And that helps me keep my time because for whatever reason, I don't find the metronome loud enough, which is probably concerning about my hearing. And
I guess that's another question there.
But yeah, we'll just do it to a click. Because if you're playing to a drum machine, you're basically playing to a click. It gives you a little more feel, but like similar kind of vibe.
I feel much more comfortable with an actual like a drum machine over a click.
Absolutely.
Like the click is just like very mechanical. It's
like, so mechanical, and it doesn't give you any space. I don't really like click tracks.
Oh, I hate it.
I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
For like we did a Zeal record that we're working on. I play in a D-beat hardcore band called Zeal.
Okay.
That's based in Ottawa, and we did the record with no click, and it's 8 songs in 15 minutes, and it just rips. It's so awesome. And like there's a song where it's like, let's speed up the tempo at the end on purpose. And we do it and it just rips, but we're we hang out all the time and we practice, and I care about those folks deeply. Same with Crisis Party. Like Tony just locks in and we just like go.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I don't I don't know. I find like just recording to a metronome to be really challenging, and it kind of sucks the fun out of recording, because like recording is fun and also work kind of all at the same time.
Yeah, you're right.
And then if you're like, I made it kind of too hard for myself, and then you do this thing and you feel fucking miserable doing it. Like it sucks.
I always think like, okay, the drums have been recorded and like everything's gonna be fine now. I'm gonna go and record the guitars, and it's gonna be this fun experience. And it's like, it's work. It's like it's kind of like treacherous. Like you second guess yourself while you're doing it. Like, does that take good enough? Should I do another one of it?
I am a subscriber to the school of thought of first thought, best thought.
What does that mean?
So the idea is that, say you're tracking a guitar part and you try something and you don't totally land it, but the idea is there.
Yeah.
You finesse that first idea. And then you finesse it to the point that it's a good, like a lot of my takes are the first take, because that's the most honest way that you feel the song should go. Yeah. Is if you're doing something. But it's nerve-wracking because like there's this thought of precision, and there's this thought of like you have to, everything has to be perfect. And I genuinely don't believe in music that like everything has to be perfect. I love flaws. I love fuck ups. Like one of my favorite bands is The Replacements.
Yeah.
The Replacements were notorious for just being like total fuck ups.
I've heard, I haven't heard the song, but I heard a story that one of their songs, the drummer completely fucks up the beat in like one spot, and they all just like pick it up and they left it in the actual.
Yeah. I don't. it's happened it happens a couple times. There's also a song on one of their records where they all just switch instruments because they can. Like, there's a charm to it. There's something like I do play in some bands that are kind of poppy, but I listen to like a gamut of things, but I listen to a lot of hardcore music. And like the thing with hardcore is like, it's the heart. It's the thing you want it to rip and you want it to be tight and like on and not fuck up. Like, you don't want audible fuck ups.
Yeah.
But like, there's a art in kind of channeling how like imprecise or unprecise you can be.
I kind of feel like there's a bit of like a balance between like, if it's so sloppy you can't hear it, you can't listen to it.
No,
and
absolutely.
If it's so tight, it feels like
robotic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I like big production values, big like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I find that those records don't stick with me.
Yeah, you're right.
Like I would rather, it's, you know, every punk band you love that has existed for 10 years goes through a fucking arc of different shit.
Yeah.
And sometimes they get more produced, and it's like, I really liked those earlier records better. And partially because I'm more familiar with the songs, but also partially because like maybe the production value isn't so clean. Maybe like it feels more honest.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing with me in music, is just like, I'm really striving for like honest representations of things.
Can you elaborate on that? Maybe some of the door? Yeah. Okay.
I parked in the driveway. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's totally fine. Yeah. Can you elaborate on honest representation, like the idea of like being sincere, I guess, or like?
Yeah. Honesty with music is just like the first thing that you put down, the phone demo, the idea, whatever, like that is the unfiltered like essence of the thing that you're trying to make.
Yeah. Okay.
And then as you refine it, it's kind of an effort in like, you want it to be better, but you don't want it to lose the thing about it that you loved so much in the first place. And so like trying to maintain like a level of honesty with that, it means also like being honest with yourself, and also being honest with like, maybe there's too many guitar layers on that. Well, maybe there's too much happening. Maybe we just have to like abort something, like what's going on. Because like I've recorded EPs. There's one I put out last year called Winter Trash, and I'm in a band called Future Girls.
Yeah. And
it's just 3/4 of Future Girls. It's just Dwayne Shanks, who plays in Bodfly. He's the drummer. It's Becca Dally, who plays in Cluttered, playing bass.
Oh, okay, really.
And myself. And we did this Winter Trash EP, and it's very like dark and moody and whatever. All of my guitar takes are like one take. I was just like, kind of like in a frantic episode. I was just like very intentionally doing it, and I was like, hey, I didn't mess up. Let's go. And when I listen to it now, I'm like, these songs are wild, because there's like, they were never intended to really be played live. So there's a lot of like extra guitar stuff going on. And I was like, this sounds like 3 guitars, and it sounds like 2 guitar players don't know what they're doing. Like, but it's sick. Like I really like those 3 songs, and it feels very honest and very genuine. So like,
did you ever have an issue where like you make a demo of a song, and then when you record it for real, it loses its like finesse, or like it's like
it's happened.
Okay.
It's happened.
Yeah, it sounds regretful.
It doesn't happen as often anymore, because a lot of times I will just kind of massage the demo until. But it's different because like Crisis Party, I'll demo everything myself with like programmed drums, and I'll do the whole deal, and then we'll learn it as a band, and then we'll record. With some of those demos, like we still have 10 songs to learn. Like I have like a backlog of 10 songs.
Because how does, okay, so let's say for example with like Cluttered, like how does it's like a question I ask a lot, is like the song factory, like how does it function?
I write the lyrics first or the riff first.
Okay, that's an interesting question actually in itself. Is that you write words without knowing what the melody is going to be?
Not always. I find it really hard.
You find it hard to write?
To do lyrics first and then do the thing after. So
gotcha.
Most of the time it's the riff, and then I will come up with the structure of the song, and then I'll put words to it.
Okay.
I've been trying more lately to do words first, just to see if it gives me a different approach.
I also wonder, like the syllable count, for example, can be like messed up, right? Like
I fit so many words into my songs.
Really?
Oh yeah, like I'm very like constantly gasping for breath, and then it's just like, and I'll finesse it through like doing stuff, being like, oh, I really like this phrase, but there's 3 words too many in it or something, and then I'll find a more succinct way to say the phrase.
Yeah. Okay.
But most of the time, it's like first thought, best thought. Like I received an arts grant a couple years ago in Nova Scotia to write music, and I taught myself, like, really regimented writers will get up every day and they'll write.
Yeah, okay.
And musicians, authors, whatever, they will get up, they will write, they will do the thing. And I taught myself how to do that. So I ended up writing something like 35 songs in the span of 6 weeks.
So how would that function? So you like wake up and then grab a guitar, or like what?
I'd wake up, I would have a coffee, I would get my bearings for the day. I would pick up a guitar and I'd plug it into whatever, and I would just start fucking around. Or I'd be like, oh, I've been listening to this band a lot. I wonder if I can write a song in that style. And like, you know, I'm not good at directly copying or directly stealing something, but I definitely like have my influences.
Yeah, okay. That is super awesome, man.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I haven't been writing as much lately. I wrote a lot for a long time. I've put out a lot of music this year and last year and the year before. And so I've actually been looking into the idea of like slow art as an anti-capitalist thing.
In what sense?
So if you're constantly writing songs, you're in the song factory. You're constantly producing songs.
Yeah.
Where's the line where you're doing it for yourself, and when do you commodify it? When does it become a commodity? And so the idea of the slow art thing is that you're more thoughtful and more conscious of the way that you approach something. It might take you longer, but because it takes you longer, it's more authentic and it's less giving into like the inevitable capitalist side of music, because like, you know, we're going to put this shit on Spotify. We want people to listen to it. We want people to pay attention to it. But if you take your approach in the beginning and you're like, the intention I set forth was not to necessarily make a record of 40 songs.
Yeah.
I just wanted a couple really good ones. It kind of evens out. And I hadn't been writing much, and I'm back on the wagon of writing a little bit more. Back on the wagon. It was a busy, like I did a lot of touring this year, so like it's kind of hard to write when you're like, for me, it's hard to write. Like I'll write stuff at sound checks, and I'm like, oh, like, and then I just put my phone on the amp and I'll be like, this is the guitar riff, and then I teach myself what it is later. Yeah.
Sometimes you listen back to it and you're like, what is that chord? And you're trying to like get it.
My problem, especially with solo stuff, is I use a capo so much.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, where was the fucking capo? Probably on the second fret. It's almost always on the second fret, but that is a reality of that. Yeah.
Sorry, I read there was an article from, I think, Exclaim.
Yeah, Exclaim did an article on me last year.
Yeah, so I was reading that and I was like, there's something I was going to ask about it. Using the phrase "can't stop, won't stop."
Oh, that's just I got a little too high and I thought it was funny.
Okay, but it's not something that you're actually saying in your head, literally, are you?
No. It's,
okay.
That's kind of a self-effacing joke.
Oh, okay.
The idea of "can't stop, won't stop" was literally like, I have to keep making things. I have to keep doing it because it feels like if I stop, then I don't know what. Like I'm in my mid-30s. I've been in bands my entire adult life. I've been constantly just pushing and like touring and doing all of these things. And ultimately, there are certain things that some people want in life in a way of like, people want kids and they want to get married and they want to have a house and they want to have all these things.
Yeah.
And usually you have to have like a lucrative career or something. It's like an anchor or a stability to that.
Yeah.
And I just don't fuck with that. It's nice. Stability is nice.
Yeah.
But I don't find that a satisfying way to live.
I mean, but you feel pressure.
I feel pressure all the time.
I'm saying, do you feel pressure to be constantly creating?
No, because people are like, you need to take a break. That's happened in the last couple of years. People are like more mindful of like being like, Matty, are you okay? Like, do you need to take a break?
Why are they telling you that? Like why?
Because putting out fucking like 14 releases in a year is not healthy.
Well, but I mean, so like you're putting it out and they're just like, whoa, you just released a lot of stuff. This is crazy. Just calm down. Yeah.
Not even so much that. It's more just like, you doing okay?
Yeah. Okay.
Like you're putting out a lot of stuff. Are you feeling okay? And it's like, yeah, I'm feeling like I have to create. And sometimes there is that need to like just create and do the thing.
And so, I mean, I'm being a little bit selfish here. I'm saying I'm relating to it here because I do the same thing. Is that like, where do you think that's coming from?
Oh, inadequacy. Absolutely.
Oh my God.
I've never been good at anything else in my life.
And there's like a certain amount of like, if I don't do this, what am I good for kind of thing?
What's my identity?
That is, yeah, man. Okay.
But I mean, like, ultimately you do all the other things and you try to be a good person and you try to not fuck anybody over and you try your best and all of that shit. But like, ultimately, if I like wasn't playing music, I would have a full blown identity crisis because all I've ever known is being a musician.
That's
It's a trip. It's a huge trip.
Do you ever feel trapped?
No, because I do so many different. I also play in a band called Precious Failures with Tony and Rich and Sheehan.
Yeah. Okay.
Just like friends from Ottawa, and like I'm playing like lead guitar or second guitar and like helping write songs and stuff. And that Precious Failures is really different than Zeal, and Zeal is really different than Crisis Party, and it's all different than Cluttered, and it's all different than my solo stuff. So like,
but still, I'm saying like I'm like when I say do you feel trapped, I mean to say that do you ever feel trapped that like, let's say for example, like you get into an accident, like you lose your arms, you can't it's gonna be hard to play music at that point, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And it's like you would lose like a sense of yourself that like.
Yeah, I've had some health stuff come up at different times, and it's very like it's a little scary.
Yeah.
Because like for example, I played Sappy Fest last weekend in New Brunswick. I played solo. Wild, like that's like a high crowning mark for like an East Coast musician to play this festival that like started by members of Eric's Trip, like the Weaker Thans have played it, the Constantines have played it, like Fucked Up has played it, like cool, like awesome bands. Yeah. And I got to play, and that's really nice. And I feel very like a little imposter syndrome-y, but also like I've worked really hard, so I deserve it. But then I woke up the next day and I had no feeling in my ring finger and my pinky finger because I broke a string in the first song, and Mother Tongues lent me a guitar, like eternally grateful for them saving the day. Yeah. But it was up a little higher than I'm used to. I play pretty low. Yeah. And I pinched something in my shoulder or whatever, and then I woke up with no feeling in my hand, and I was like, this is not good. Like I'm at a point now where I have to start taking better care of my body.
Yeah, okay.
Because if I'm going to try to sustain it in this realm, in this world or whatever, I'm going to have to like...
Yeah, you can hurt yourself a lot easier.
You can hurt oh yeah, the older you get, my bones are mostly dust. So like, yeah, exactly. Like that's exactly it.
But the idea being that like you could lose the ability to use your hand and then thus play music is, and then I'm trying to get at is that like that you kind of like lose your identity if you like stop playing music.
I
like,
think the thing is I may lose my identity as a musician in the current, but I don't think I would lose my ambition to be a creative person.
Yeah, okay.
Because like I write poetry and I write stuff, and I've made zines before, and I've done all that stuff. And so like if something were to come up on, if whatever, for whatever reason I wasn't able to play an instrument going forward from today onwards, I would find another way to be creative. I'd be probably pretty miserable.
Yeah.
But I'd find another outlet or something.
Did you not like kind of feel that like the amount of work that you've put into music is kind of like sort of like has like sort of like has become like who you are in a certain way, and then by removing it, it's like you can be like naked and be like, I don't like, what do I do now? Kind of something like that.
I get really bad post-tour blues.
Yeah.
So like, or like you play a big fun show or you play a fest or something, and then like the next week you're just like super depressed and lethargic and nothing feels good, and you're just like, why do I feel like shit? I get that real hard.
Yeah.
I'm pretty open with talking about my mental health, and I've been that way for a long time, and it's not great. It's never the best, but I'm like stable and everything is fine.
Yeah.
But like, there's constantly that thought. The thing that I was having with Sappy Fest is I got to play Sappy Fest solo under weird circumstances because Cluttered were supposed to play, and then half of the band got COVID and all sorts of stuff. And so I get to play this fest to 200, 300 people, and there's a bunch of like queer teens who are like singing along to my songs and are so stoked and are just excited, and I'm like,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's rad. And it is weird because it's a weird amount of pressure in the sense of being a person of note within a punk scene, because the punk scene's pretty small, but it's global. Like it's small in every community, but everybody is like friends or like friends of friends. And then once you meet somebody and you hit it off, you're like, I have a new pal. It's fucking awesome. But then, at the same time, like it's sometimes really hard not to feel like you just tricked somebody.
How do you mean?
Like, I don't know. I don't ever really promote my solo material that much. It's going to change because I've got a record coming out next year. But like, I don't put a ton. I don't ask to play shows with it. I don't do that stuff because I started doing it out of necessity, but it never felt to me like that's the thing that made people immediately excited. They'd be like, oh, we really want your band to play. Yeah. Well, my band can't play, but I can play solo. Oh, sorry. Like, it would be like that kind of stuff. And that kind of sucks. And it kind of like blows your ego. So like you eventually start feeling like, like maybe they're just being nice. Maybe they're just placating me, whatever. They're filling a hole. Who knows?
Wait, who is the
I just mean in general, like the general, like person at a festival, person at a,
You mean the organizer or the crowd?
The organizer.
Okay.
The crowd's always receptive.
Okay.
Or is mostly receptive. When I'm playing to people, sometimes I play solo shows to nobody. And those are the ones where people are like, you threw down, but that was sad. And I was like, I know. But yeah, it's just like dealing with like imposter syndrome and stuff, and being like, on one hand, I know that I've literally been doing this since I was like 19 or 18 years old. Yeah. I've been playing in bands since I was like 18, and that's almost 20 years now. And like, that's sick. I remember being in university and talking to a friend and being like, I can't wait to go on tour. I don't care if I have to sleep on floors. And then I was thinking about it, and it's like, I still love going on tour, and I still don't care if I have to sleep on a couch or a floor. And like, that thing that inspired me so young still keeps me going.
Yeah.
I wouldn't spread myself so thin or do so many things if it didn't feel like it was like paying off in some capacity.
Yeah, that's true. I just like, I guess I'm kind of relating myself to this. It's like, like maybe we've picked paths that at this point you can't turn back on. You know what I mean? Like there's.
I mean, the thing is ultimately we play in bands that will be successful on a level that is determined by people other than ourselves.
Yeah.
All we can do is make the coolest thing that we can possibly make.
Yeah.
Be like, this is the fun thing. This is what I want to do. This is the cool thing. Other people, like once you like write a song or make a song and put it out, it kind of, you know, I know what the original material of these songs was. I know what, like when you were talking about Don't Hold Your Breath from Cluttered.
Yeah.
That song is literally about dying. The chorus is gimme, 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 gimme asphyxiation. Don't hold your breath. like that's what that song is about. That song is about like not being alive.
But it's a song about the acceptance of death, the fear of death, or like what part of death are you referring to? It happening, I guess, just in general.
Just in general. Okay. I think about death a lot.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah, it's find a creative person that doesn't think about death a lot, and I'll fucking find you a liar.
Well, but, I was just gonna ask. I'm going all over the place here. So you opened for Propaganda, right?
Yeah, Cluttered opened for Propaganda in Halifax.
Okay, so you say Gandhi, I say Gandhi. I'm not sure how to say it.
I don't know which is the right way. I think some people say Gandhi. Some people say Gandhi. I just think of it because it says Propa and then Gandhi, like the persons.
Okay.
That's what I say, but like Propaganda makes sense. Like,
yeah,
I don't think they care. I kind of had some contact with Sue Lin, like their guitar player, a little bit, just because they were really nice to me after the show, and then we just talked about like Florence and the Machine for like a half hour. It was really lovely. Unsurprising things at the punk show. Play to 1,000 people, talk about Florence and the Machine with the guitar player for Propaganda. But like they're cool as fuck, and it's less like one of those things where it's like you're playing in like essentially the most notable punk band from the 90s in Canada. Yeah. And you're throwing down and people love to see you and you always have huge crowds and stuff. And it's like, well, what keeps you going? And they're like, well, I'm a guitar instructor and I'm working on these other projects and I do all these things. And I'm like, yeah, okay. There's parallels where it's just like, yeah, the reason I play in a D-beat band at the same time as playing in a pop band is because I like both of those things.
Yeah, okay. You did on oh my god, Transgender Dystopia Blues.
Yes,
you did a cover of
Anchorless. Yeah.
Okay, so here's the debate: was it a Weaker Than's cover or was it a Propaganda cover?
Okay, well,
because I have something to say about it. But
the answer is both.
Okay. Yes.
The answer is both. Structure, lyrics, chording. All from the Weaker Thans.
Yes, because the structure is a big part. Second verse was omitted from the original version. Yeah.
And speed is the Propaganda version.
Oh, okay.
The Weaker Thans are one of my favorite bands. They're maybe the best Canadian band of all time.
I have huge affection for them. Yes.
Like lyrically perfect. You know, universal. People are like, Tragically Hip or the Great Canadian Treasure. And I was like, the Weaker Thans, the Great Canadian Treasure. Yeah. And that's not to take anything away from like Pointed Sticks or the Diodes or Forgotten Rebels or any of those bands from like the 70s and the 80s that like really carved the way for punk to be what it is. But if you want to find somebody that can like take lyrics and essentially make a short story, but also have it be this like incredibly crushingly descriptive like piece of art. Yeah. The Weaker Than's kind of there's no one really better than that.
It was a good line was like a sound you didn't notice until it wasn't there or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like a really like good observation that like no one's ever put into words before, you know?
Oh, absolutely. And it's something as like, I don't know, I love lyrics that are like the first Future Girls album we did. We did an album and an EP last year. Excuse me. And the full length when we put it out, which was like 2016. Yeah. It's a narrative arc. the whole record. It's called Motivation Problems.
So like a concept album, kind of, right?
Kind of. Yeah. I wrote all the songs, and then I realized that all the songs were saying kind of the same thing.
Okay.
In different ways, about slightly different topics, but like the overall theme was kind of the same thing. And there's a lot of like lyrics about like, you know, walking past dilapidated buildings or being on the bus, or like those are universal things. Those are things like everybody rides the bus. Even if you don't ride the bus, you have ridden the bus. You know that sucks. And you know that like it is both like, this is the means, this is the way that we get to the place. And also sometimes it feels like total defeat and you're just like sad and you're sitting on the bus and you're crying. And like that shit happens all the time. So like Motivation Problems is very like, that's kind of a narrative arc about my early transition.
Yeah, okay.
Most of the songs were written before I came out, and then I came out and then we put the record out. But, you know, first song is a song called Bowing Out, and it's like, singled out, I'm falling down. That's the first lyric. And then the last song is called Do I Exist? And the last line is, do I even exist at all? And so it kind of goes through this, like, this whole, like, grappling with mortality and like trying to figure out where you stand with things, and while also like addressing the inner turmoil that's going on with the gender thing. And like
a few times I've heard you discuss in your lyrics like the idea of existing or not.
Yeah.
Like, where's that coming from? Also, you look right through me. That's another thing too that you say.
That's a great question. Okay. Okay, so there's kind of a couple parts to it. At its core, at the center nugget of all of this stuff, I am a transgender person in my 30s.
Yeah.
I am not unfamiliar with the thought of suicide. Trigger warning, not unfamiliar with that.
I hope my laughter is not taken as dismissive as okay.
No, not at all.
Yeah, okay, cool.
But so like, yeah, I definitely think about like not being alive all the time.
Yeah.
That's definitely a thing I think about. And it's really hard. And like, if you're struggling with that, like, talk to your friends, talk to people about it. Like, that's the right way to do that.
Yeah.
But the other idea is like, Look Through Me is literally like that song.
Let me pull it up.
This is where we start at the bottom with spilled drinks and sticky floors. That song is just about like, yeah, like feeling like kind of like a ghost, or feeling invisible, or not anybody like really seeing you for who you truly are, even though you're all like, Look Through Me is kind of a like, we're all united in this and no one is seeing us. And like, because the underground and if you're in the punk scene or whatever,
yeah,
you're visible, but people don't actually like, people see the jean jacket or the leather jacket, or they see the like the studs or the shirt or whatever. They see that, or the haircut or whatever it is.
Yeah.
They see all of that stuff.
Is that thing doing anything? Sorry,
I just popped it.
No, but I'm saying like, is it not sticking? Is it's a weird like bendy thing? Yeah. But
there we go.
All right, cool.
You know,
so
you feel like you don't ever feel totally seen, right? Like if somebody is just like judging you based, and that's the thing that has been my experience. I was like, you know, like not a cis person. It's just like,
do you feel like people are ignoring you?
Not ignoring, but just like minimizing my problems, or saying things that are like, you know, like, you're making this hard on yourself. I've gotten that a few times, like from family who are like, you know, things would be easier if you didn't do the thing. And I was like, well, I wasn't going to survive if I didn't do the thing. So like, take your pick.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want this or do you want nothing? Like take your pick.
So I guess the idea is that like, sometimes when you say like questioning if your existence is basically people sort of almost like minimizing anything.
Yeah, that's a part of it. And then literally the song Do I Exist on the Future Girls record, that song was written because I went for a walk and somebody hit me with a door. And I was like, am I fucking invisible?
Wait.
I'm like 6 foot. Like I was walking into a building and they just slammed a door into me.
Oh, okay. I thought they had a door outside and they hit you with the door. Okay,
no. It was just like I was walking into like a coffee shop and somebody smoked me with the door.
Yeah.
And I was like, am I like like, I can't. I know I'm wearing a hoodie. I know that the hood is up. I know I look like shit. I know that I'm trying to like minimize and make myself look as small as possible and sink into the background. But I do exist, and you hit me with a fucking door, and you didn't even acknowledge it. You just kept going on your way. Like, you don't have enough self-awareness to realize that your actions have impacted somebody else. Yeah. And that's the bigger problem.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the bigger problem with the idea of existence is like, you're at the mercy of people who have more power and more resources and more money than you.
Yeah.
Trying to give you crumbs to satiate yourself, even though you like are like.
Okay,
Do you remember?
I think we have like a capitalist conversation here now.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
I was going to say something about those billionaire assholes who died at the bottom of the ocean. Like, first and foremost, good, great.
Well, okay, wait. I would edit a little bit and say, like, let's not focus our attention on that. There's so many other people suffering. Perhaps, but that's more of like a nicer way to say than good. I mean, but still,
the hubris of somebody being like, I'm going to spend $250,000 to go to the bottom of the ocean without thinking at anything through or talking to a scientist or whatever. Like,
and also the amount of money you waste doing that. Yes,
those people, like, those people don't give a fuck about us. They don't. We don't exist in their eyes because we're plebes. We're serfs. We toil.
I just feel really weird about encouraging, like, being happy with someone's death, no matter who they are, even when they're bad. I know.
No,
I get
it. I learned a long time ago. There are some that you're just like, good. That's a lesson. I've learned a lot of hard lessons, and I will continue to learn hard lessons because of the way I navigate the world.
Yeah. Okay.
But feeling sympathy, like, you know, it sucks. It's a tragedy or whatever. But like, whatever.
Roll your eyes.
Yeah. Okay. Some people are like really like, well, a kid died and all this stuff, and I was like, the odds of that kid becoming like a Marxist savior are very, very small. That kid was gonna grow up to be an asshole and get a job because his dad gave him a job, and he's gonna start off at like 6 figures a year and never have to worry about money for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
And
there's also an irresponsibility sometimes when people,
absolutely.
When people do dangerous things and they die from it. It's like, what the hell are you doing even trying this out?
Well, it's like, you know, the number of people who try to climb Mount Everest versus the number of people who like successfully climb Mount Everest. Like, people are just like, we're not rescuing them. Like, we have to leave them because you put yourself, you're like, I'm going to challenge myself to the hardest challenge. And then nature wins.
There's also, they're called shaman.
Sherpas?
Sherpas, sorry.
Yeah.
My bad. So Sherpas, they are people in poverty who bring you up the mountain. And I met somebody, I worked at a camping store a long time ago, and he did the journey, and one of his Sherpas died on the way up. And he's just like so casual, but I'm like, someone just died for you to have an adventure. Like, this is just horrible.
And it's just like, yeah, that's exactly it. It's just like, there's you would have to do a lot of humanitarian work to offset the way that acting that way becomes, you know, appropriate or okay or like doing that thing. And that's why, like, you know, I say good or whatever. I'm not like harshing on anybody who has money. I don't care. Like, it's fine. If you have expendable money, donate it to good causes. Give it to people in need. Go find a GoFundMe website, like on the GoFundMe website, and look for unfulfilled, like, trans-related GoFundMes and just start donating to them.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Like that's an altruistic way to share wealth if you feel like you have too much. But the problem is generally these people have a hoarding mentality.
I think psychologically everybody has that mentality, and it just like when you scale up, you still feel like I don't quite have enough money yet. You know what I mean? Like it's a psychological issue.
And my problem is like I've been poor my entire life, so I'm very like it's like feast or famine. Like here's some money, you have no more money. Like
okay, for you, so after high school you went to Halifax. Like we took a big tangent there, but anyway, go back onto the biography element here. So like you moved to Halifax as a way to like
escape my small town
and like kind of like being more like a big city and
exactly. It was the biggest city that was nearby.
Yeah, okay.
I could have gone to Fredericton, but Fredericton's a little smaller than Halifax. Mm-hmm. I could have went to Moncton. Moncton has a cool scene, but like it's not the scope. Halifax was like the big city.
Yeah, okay.
And
did you just like move on your own and just like get
I went for school.
Okay.
I have a degree in math and sociology.
Math and sociology. Wow.
Yeah, I started a science degree, and then I had like kind of a political awakening, and so I had too many credits towards one thing, and I couldn't fully back out and just shift my degree into another thing. So it's math and sociology.
Cool, that's neat.
Yeah, it's interesting. And then I did nothing with it, and like I've just worked office jobs, and I work at House of Targ right now, which is like the best.
Yeah, okay.
The only job I've never hated. I will continue to say this. House of Targ is the only job I've never hated.
So while you're working there, it's always just like completely chill and like you're like,
it's busy. It's busy and it's hectic, but like I feel supported by my the people in charge. I love my coworkers. Welcoming environment, and I get to meet new people.
And also the loving your coworkers is super.
Oh yeah, if you like I was recently, and this is also tangential. This has happened to me a lot. I will end up in an office style work environment.
Yeah.
And people will start to get to know me, and I will, say something inevitably that rubs them the wrong way.
Can you give an example or?
Somebody was saying something about prisons at one point, and I was like, we should abolish all prisons. This is bullshit. And then the look on their face is like, I have never thought about this before. I do not know how to deal with this. Okay. And but it's like that kind of stuff. It's like, I did a job recently where I'm pretty sure in the interview I self-described as the tranny with the ACAB tattoo.
The ACAB tattoo? What's ACAB?
All cops are bastards.
Oh, okay.
It's an anarchist slogan. I have an ACAB tattoo on my leg.
Okay.
But just like using those words in that phrase while also attaching humor to it, people are like, that's funny, but am I allowed to laugh? And it's like, well, if you don't laugh, you might as well cry. So I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, I gotta rewind though. Okay.
Yeah.
The abolishing all prisons. What's this about?
It was just somebody was saying something about like prisons being a good thing or something.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, no, you should have community rehabilitation. And there should be like, obviously there are exceptions to that, but there should be programs in place and not immediately like, we're going to send somebody who was like trying to be a small time weed dealer to jail. Like that kind of shit is.
One thing I kind of find like really kind of weird about prisons is like, we have to really define, are we there to rehabilitate somebody or punish them? And what I find what happens is that you bring people in prisons who did small crimes, and it actually makes them more of a criminal when they get out, and they just keep going back into the system because it's a torture system, and it makes you like worse.
Well, and also it doesn't teach you the skills that, like, to be fair, that no one really teaches you, but like those life skills for like, if all you've ever known is one thing.
Yeah.
Then you're put in a situation where that is the only thing you can do.
Yeah.
You can't break the cycle, which is like what you're saying is just like, it perpetuates this thing where people like keep going back and keep going back and keep going back when it's like, oh, you ruined somebody's life over like an ounce of fucking cannabis.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
That's just insane.
Yeah.
And it's like that kind of stuff. So it was probably something like somebody was like, good, they went to prison. And I was like, fuck, you're insane. I gotta stop saying that. But yeah, like it's very, I've always kind of been this way with the like, I will use humor as like the shield to say the thing that I'm thinking, even if not everyone is thinking it.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't care how uncomfortable you make this, or if this makes you feel, because at least it's funny.
Yeah, you kind of you're softening the blow a little bit.
Yeah, I'm softening the blow, but then if you take like 5 seconds to think about it, you're like, oh shit. and that's like the most effective way I can possibly communicate things.
I was gonna propaganda, right?
Yeah.
Propaganda? How do you say it? Anyway, you know the song "Less Talk More Rock"?
Yeah.
Okay, so that like, so my understanding of that song was that like, he was writing this song because there's a lot of like sort of like frat kind of dudes like going to the shows, and like he was making like a lot of like gay allusions. And
they on the Less Talk More Rock album, they have a thing on it that it's like propaganda, or like pro gay, pro like all of these things. The Less Talk More Rock, from my understanding, literally came from, they used to go on huge talking diatribes, and they still kind of do. And somebody would say, "Less talk, more rock."
Yeah, okay.
And then he's like, "Fuck these frat boys." Like Chris Hanna's like, "Oh, you're not paying attention to anything we're doing. You just want to mosh. Like, get out of here." And like, I feel a very similar thing. Like, lyrics are super important to me, and like the message and like that kind of stuff. If somebody's there just to like heckle or cause shit, I have no problem like taking them to a point where I'm like, I'm going to make you so uncomfortable that you are either going to deal with these feelings or you're going to leave.
Wait, how would you make them uncomfortable? What would you do?
Oh, the guy at Propaganda in Halifax.
Yeah.
I played twice that night. I played in a band called Worst Part, and we played, and I just keep hearing this like, sounds like he's booing, sounds like a bunch of stuff I can't make out, but I'm off to the side of the stage. I'm just playing bass.
Yeah.
It was still pretty heavy COVID time, so I'm like wearing a mask, and I'm like very focused on not passing out from like hyperventilating into the mask. And then, so Worst Part plays, and then Cluttered goes up, and then I just go to the center of the stage, and this guy is like dead center in the stage, and we do the first 3 songs, and then we do the first 3 songs, and we take a break, and he just goes, "Boo, keep playing songs." And I was just like, "Let's talk more rock." And I was just like, I instantly just snapped, and I went, "You," and I fucking pointed this dude out, and I was like, "You, is this your job now? Are you just here to engage with me? Well, my job is to point out when people are being professional assholes. Can you please knock it off?" And then his partner tapped him on the shoulder and was like, "We're going home." Like, I'm so embarrassed for you, because, and then I came to find out that everybody around that person was like, "Good, somebody shut him up," because he did that for 3 bands. It took until me being like, "What are you gonna say? You gonna come at me?" Like,
it's probably maybe like he was very drunk and just like being a fucking
probably
like,
but like I've been, I've had drinks, I've gotten drunk on stage, I've gotten drunk in crowds. I've never gotten to the point where I feel that my enjoyment and my opinion of anything should take over the entire crowd's enjoyment of the thing.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, no, I mean, if you ever been to like stand-up comedy and someone's like heckling, it's like it's so uncomfortable for everybody involved. It's like just enjoy the show. Enjoy the show.
And also, like, stand-up is hard, and good stand-up is like awesome, but like bad stand-up, you're like, the people who like heckle at bad stand-up comedians, it's like, that's lazy, because they're like, I can do better. And I was like, I guarantee that this person is just having an off night, and they could tear you apart. Like,
but so propaganda. Okay, here's the thing I was going to ask you about. Okay, so in the Exclaim article, you were talking like the idea that like you're like, it's cool that the bros like the music, but you find it more important that the message is what's really coming through.
Yeah, that still rings true. I'm not like, I like when people like the thing I do, when people like the bands I'm in, or like the songs I put out or whatever. That's cool. But my focus when I'm writing a song is to find somebody who feels as like lonely and isolated and alienated from like whatever they have going on in their life. Somebody who feels as strongly like that way that I do. Yeah, okay. Like I'm writing songs for like myself and my friends and like fucking 15-year-old queer kids who are like, my parents don't accept this and I don't know what I'm doing. And like, I've had kids come up to me and be like, this is weird and this is gloaty, but like, so somebody had referred to me as their hero once, and I was like, that's very sweet, but like, I'm a total fuck up. Please do not think of me as a hero, but just think of me as a person. But like, they're like, yeah, but like, you did all these things in the Maritimes, and they're from the Maritimes, and she was like, you did all these things and you like keep doing them and you keep putting stuff out and you relocated and you're still doing like the thing and you're just trying to do it the best way you can, and that's really admirable. And I'm like, oh, I guess that's not the worst thing to admire in somebody. Like,
nothing wrong with it. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I guess it's okay.
It's okay. It's okay.
I always say it's okay. I want to say like, it's nothing. I mean to say, but like,
I'm getting a lot better at like the idea of maybe not beating the shit out of myself immediately or getting in my own way or shooting myself in the foot or any of those analogies. Like, I'm getting a lot better with being like accepting of compliments.
Do you feel like you're hard on yourself?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah, like in what sense? Like,
I for a long time I just did not like the person I was.
In like the terms of like how you behaved in front of people, or like
no, I just did not feel worthy of like love and compassion.
But for what?
I have depression. I have trauma.
Okay,
like it could be the way I was raised. It could be things that happened in my childhood. It could be a bunch of stuff. But my actual self-worth is quite low.
Okay. So like if anything bad happened, it would be like a traumatizing event to you, basically.
When I was a kid, yeah. Okay. I mean, like, but now it's just like bad shit happens all the time. Good shit happens all the time. It's very like we live in a world where it's just like, cool, you got 2 bads today and 1 good. Great.
Hike those numbers, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you write really good music.
Thank you.
And you took a compliment right there.
I know. I'm trying. I'm trying really hard.
But like, I guess like, I kind of struggle with the idea that like, do you feel disappointed if people like your music but aren't getting the message, or
no, not disappointed. Yeah. More so just like, I'll take every like 6 set, like I'll take those compliments. That's fine, because like generally I try really hard and I hope that the show is good.
Yeah.
But like, if you're not listening to all the words, you're missing out on like kind of a part of it. And like a band like Crisis Party, you wouldn't necessarily think is like super lyric driven, but we're a 3-piece band with 1 vocalist.
Yeah.
So like the 4th part of that equation,
it's another instrument, yeah,
is the lyrics and the vocals. And it's like, we did a pill session earlier this year, and the first song on it is the song Crisis, which seemed fitting to call it that. And it just ends with a chorus of like, I guess nothing matters at all. I guess nothing matters at all, over and over and over again. Because I'm very big on like, you take the point and then you just grind the point into the ground. And then when you think that it's dead, you just keep going a little bit further.
Yeah, okay.
It's the idea that like, in comedy, jokes stop being funny and then they start being funny again.
I don't what do you mean by that?
So like, say you're watching, I think the joke is from like John Mulaney or something, and that guy's problematic as fuck. But like,
I mean, I know he's had a lot of drug issues and stuff, but I'm not sure what you're referring to. But yeah,
he's just a rich white guy. Okay. So like, there's the problems that come with that.
Yeah, but I understand his upbringing. I think him and Nick Kroll were both like from rich families, and like they had the opportunities.
That's exactly it. But
okay,
he has a joke about. I'm pretty sure it's him, has a joke about playing What's New Pussycat by Tom Jones over and over and over and over on a jukebox.
Yeah, okay. Oh yes,
And
it
then
does sound familiar. Okay.
and then he's like, and then you switch it up for another song, and then you put on What's New Pussycat again, and it's funny all over again. And I was like, yeah, that's the whole idea, is that you take the point and you make the point, and then once you've made your point, you just push it a little bit. Not like to the point where it's annoying, but like we got a review for the pill session from some German website.
German? Okay.
Some German website.
Okay.
And it was really funny because there's a song on it called Obsolete. Yeah. And the chorus is, I am the fucking problem that I have with myself, which is like a mouthful, and is also like, if you think about it a little bit, you're like, okay. And then they were like, that's kind of redundant. And I was like, well, that's kind of the point. The whole point is that I am the problem that I have with myself.
Oh, I totally get it. I get exactly what that means. Yes. Yeah.
But like the reviewer was just like, this lyric seems redundant. And I was like, well, you missed the point, bro. Like the whole point is that it's supposed to be redundant.
Maybe it's because their first language is German and they didn't quite get the nuance.
It's entirely possible.
Yeah,
but it's like little stuff like that. Like, you know, most of my body of work it kind of revolves or radiates around like 3 or 4 topics.
Well, what are the topics?
Sure. Heartbreak. Heartbreak's a big one.
That's involved with like in the realm of romance and stuff too.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly. Like I have this really unfortunate history of having romantic attraction and big feels towards people who are completely emotionally unavailable, and they just lead me on.
That I guess we can probably talk a lot. This is probably like perhaps related to like your upbringing and stuff too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway, we're thinking all Freudian right now, but
yeah, no, totally. So like that's one.
It's like you're almost like searching for like the validation.
There is an element of that for sure. There's an element of never having felt good enough and finally finding something that I'm good at, and so wanting to do it on a level where I feel appreciated, so I can like let myself feel okay about it.
Yeah.
Because the other thing with punk stuff is like, if you don't think your shit smells, then like you're not doing it the right way. You're not being critical. You're not being self-critical. But there's a line, because if you're too self-critical, then you can't enjoy anything. Yeah. So it's this like kind of balance. So like I write a lot of songs about heartbreak. I write a lot of songs about gentrification and capitalism.
Okay, so excuse my ignorance. I can't even say the word, but that's when rich people go into like other neighborhoods and
essentially.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Rich people go into the cool poor neighborhoods and then force out all the people who made the neighborhood cool.
I'm making sure I was on the right page.
Halifax has a really bad problem with that. Ottawa's having the same thing.
Okay.
It sucks. So like gentrification, heartbreak, mental health, and then general just like malaise. Like
what the last one sounds malaise. It sounds like just being tired and
yeah, absolutely, like tired and just like why did I bother to set my alarm today? Like why am I getting out of bed?
So it's more about like an exhaustion with life almost.
Yeah, I mean, one of the new Cluttered songs, and it was a solo song first, is called Napathy and Exhaustion. So napathy is a made-up word.
You're not saying apathy, you're saying mapathy?
Napathy.
Napathy,
like take a nap.
Gotcha.
Apathy and Exhaustion is an album by a band called the Lawrence Arms, who I love. They're from Chicago, Illinois. That band rules. Great lyrics, awesome song structures, whatever. But they were on Fat Records, and their first Fat album is called Apathy and Exhaustion. And I was just like, I wrote this song, and I was just like, I'm so tired. Napathy and Exhaustion, here we go. But like, yeah, there's just like a level of like that song has an instrumental part and then a heavy sigh. I just like a heavy like.
No, you did a demo of it.
Yeah, well, there's
there's your solo stuff. I remember this side.
Yeah,
Yes.
so
Okay. Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay.
there's a cluttered version of it now. There's a full band version
cool.
of it, and I
Right.
do the sigh at it, and the first line is like, "Tired of breathing isn't every day."
I definitely heard this song before.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
So that's my like. I like that song. I open with it in my solo sets. I think it's good. I think it fits the tone. It sets a tone for sure. Where you're like, okay, like, and then the end of it is just like things are so different now. Why can't I can't change them over and over and over again.
Yes, I do remember this. Okay.
Yeah.
So for this song, just like to kind of take a
Yeah.
veer off to the side. So you write the song.
Yeah.
And it exists as like an acoustic song.
Sometimes.
Well, in this instance.
Oh, this instance, actually, I wrote the electric demo first, taught myself how to play it on acoustic with a capo, and then we did a full band version of it.
Okay, so when you bring it to the band,
Yeah.
like how like just kind of give me like example with like cluttered, like how does the whole like I guess the process go down?
Hey, this is the song we're doing. Okay. Yeah, I want all of us to play on it this time.
Yeah.
Okay. Starts off with a bass part. Show Becca the bass part. Dylan tracked his drums while my scratch guitars. Becca and AJ do their parts. I added my guitars, and then we did vocals, and the whole thing was done in like a day.
But like I was preparing for it, but the it's like it's like white with black font on the.
Oh, White with the Black. That would be Winter Trash.
No, it's the one that has that song on it as a only guitar and vocals.
Yeah, Blemishes and Scars.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So
that's like that's a wild. That's like 10 years of music as one release.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So like you had it there, but when you bring it to a band, there's more subtleties and stuff that's going on, right? Like
Well, because it was originally written with full instrumentation in mind.
Yeah.
And then I stripped it down
Oh,
and found out
okay.
that it worked, and then we rebuilt it back after I stripped it down.
Okay. So like you're are you like saying like okay, this is like the bass part and then
Yeah,
like, and then,
I'm probably a better bass player than I am a guitar player.
okay. Yeah.
I play bass in Zeal. I played bass in like this band Out of Controller, which is like a great power pop band from the Maritimes. I was an Out of Controller for a bunch of years. They've been around for almost like, if it's not a decade now, like it's been a while. I was a member of that band. We did our first tours together and stuff.
Yeah.
I was in a band for a long time called Fat Stupids as well.
That's stupid. Okay.
Which was like a garage punk thing.
Yeah.
Very like Ottawa circa 2010 sort of vibe. So like
It was from Ottawa, you said?
no, but like we would play shows with like the Creeps, and we played shows with the Visitors and like bands from Ottawa. When they would come to the Maritimes, we would play with them.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I'm just a better bass. I find a little more intuitive. Guitar is a little more challenging and is my first instrument.
Yeah.
And it's more fun.
Yeah.
But bass, I'm objectively just like, I'm comfier with it.
Yeah. Okay.
I play when John Creedon is around. John does the Flying Hellfish, and I played lead for, like, I was playing second guitar, and then John had a show booked a couple months ago, and the band is like Tony Cardozo, who plays in Crisis Party and Precious Failures, and myself, and our bass player got COVID, so they were like, what do we do? And I was like, I'll just play bass. And we just rocked it as a 3-piece, and it was so much fun and so tight. And like the Hellfish usually has like 6 members or 5 members, and we just stripped it down to like the very bare core of it.
I'm pretty sure we actually played a show that you were playing in the Hellfish, yeah. Like,
yeah, Side by Side last year. It was the outdoor show.
Oh, yes, that's what it was. Okay, yeah. Okay.
I learned all of those guitar solos in like 4 days.
It's insane.
I had COVID. I had nothing better to do with my time.
Okay, so how did you meet Anthony Cardozo?
So there used to be a festival. Actually, okay, so it goes. The reason I moved to Ottawa can almost entirely be traced back to, there used to be a festival called Ottawa Explosion Weekend.
That sounds familiar, actually.
Ottawa Explosion Weekend was put on by Emmanuel, who played in a band called Crusades, Luke from the White Wires. I believe Pierre was involved as well. Pierre used to run a label called Bruce Tongue.
Okay.
And there may be some people who I'm spacing on. I think Azrin was in it as well. Was involved. And Out of Controller played one year. I came back the next year because I had such a good time. And then I made friends. And then Future Girls got invited every year afterwards to play this festival.
Oh, cool. So you're getting like exposure to Ottawa, like year after year after year, kind of thing.
People like didn't really. Some people in the Maritimes cared about Future Girls, but Ottawa loved Future Girls more than other bands, or like we were better received here. And so I can't remember the first time I met Anthony, but like I know that like he was playing in the Hellfish, and Hellfish and Future Girls played shows together.
Okay. Yeah.
He was a volunteer at Ottawa Explosion Weekend. And I think that might be where we first met. If not, it was in and around there. And we just kind of hit it off. We would have varying degrees of contact over several years, but every time we saw each other, it was really nice. And I got, when Cluttered was doing that tour, the one where we played with you folks, I reached out to Tony and was like, yo, do you want to book the show? I know you book stuff. Like, Future Girls were supposed to play the first side-by-side weekend, and I lost my fucking mind, so we ended up not playing the first side-by-side. Which is why, when I played my solo set the other weekend for side-by-side, we did a Future Girls reunion during the set, because the first place we ever played in Ottawa was Club Saw. We, like Dwayne, the drummer, and I, like, we hadn't played together in a while, like, it was just like, it was a very full circle moment for us to have a space to be like, yo, the first time we ever played here was Club Saw. For Ottawa Explosion, Side by Side is kind of the spiritual successor to that a little bit. And we get to full circle this.
Yeah.
Like, it was really, really lovely and really nice. So Tony, Anthony gave us the space to do that. I was like, I asked him about the Future Girls reunion, and he's like, oh, that's really nice. Like, that's very sweet. And I was like, it's important. Like, the history of all of these things. I wouldn't have friends without Ottawa Explosion. Yeah, okay. I wouldn't have friends in Ottawa. Like, maybe people I've met in passing, but not like the people I'm tight with. Like, I had kind of a pre-established community. And then, so Anthony booked Cluttered and Stoby and Deliverables at Live on Elgin in November, and he was like, I wasn't even sure I was ever going to book shows again, but like, because it was COVID. So,
I remember he had tried to start it up, and it kind of like it didn't. Yeah.
And so that felt really special, and we just kind of hit it off, and we're talking more. And then when I was like, yo, I'm going to move to Ottawa, I want to start a band with Jeff, like I want to start a band with Ska Jeff, and I want to start a band with you. And they're like, well, we've talked about being in a band together before. And I was like, let's do it. Let's the three of us do this. And so I moved here, and 6 days later, Crisis Party had our first jam. I wrote 4 songs or 5 songs and sent it to them. And I was like, these are the first 5 songs. So and that's what the first EP is those first 5 songs.
Okay, I also just want to say, like, Anthony has been super like kind to me, and kind. Oh, he's kind to every like project I've ever had. He's super.
He's a fucking sweetheart.
I just want to say that, and I also have the question. Yeah. Anyways, give a shout out to Anthony.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
But how many songs do you think you've written in your existence?
In my existence,
yeah.
I can't put a number on that, but I can say that I did the math because Sean Scallon asked me, he's like, you're in a lot of bands. How many songs do you have to remember at any given time? And I was like, I don't know, between 80 and 90.
Well, you've always written more than 90 songs, I think.
No, totally. But at any given time, I have to be able to recall 80 or 90 songs.
Okay.
And I think that speaks volumes more than just how many songs I've made.
Yeah, that's an interesting, I don't know how many I can recall off the like on the spot. That's a really interesting.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, what do you want? I bet I can fumble my way through this. And most of those are originals and not covers. Sometimes there's covers. Like
you're like a karaoke binder.
I am a karaoke binder. Yeah, I'm just the website that you download when you go to Bad Karaoke.
This is a very simple question. Do you double track or single track your vocals?
What if I told you that I do single track and double track and triple track?
What does that mean?
Some songs are just single voice.
Yeah.
Like a lot of my solo stuff is single voice or doubled and then that.
Yeah.
I love this band Dillinger 4. They're from Minneapolis. They're awesome. The rumor was that they have 2 main vocalists and 3 vocalists in the band. And Eric Funk, who's one of the vocalists, the rumor was that he got his vocal tone by tripling his vocals.
Oh, okay.
So you do it 3 times.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
But most of the time I just double stuff.
Okay, yeah.
I do a really tight double and then I will like teeter off of it a little bit so it adds like harmonies into things.
Like teeter off like you're going like
No, it would be like, say the line is like 4 words or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe on the double track on the 3rd word, I will say it slightly different or do a different pitch to it.
Okay.
And it'll add like a tonal texture to it. And it's more like coloring than it is anything.
Yeah, okay. So like because you also...
it took me a long time to get comfortable with the sound of my voice.
Like you didn't like it, you mean?
No, not at all.
Oh man, it's an awesome voice.
Thank you. I despised it for years. And I had a lot of like gender feels about it and all sorts of stuff. And then like
you think it sounded too masculine or feminine or something?
A little too masculine sometimes. And but I listen back now and I was like, no, I just sound like a girl who's shouting. Like that's all that is. It's just a voice.
Yeah.
But it took me a long time to be comfortable with it because also like I'm inherently kind of shy. So forcing myself and being in bands and forcing myself to do stuff was kind of an effort and an exercise in like working through my shyness.
Are you scared to go on stage when you perform?
Only solo usually.
So when you have a band with you, it's like, all right, we're all in this together.
Yeah, because it's always, if I feel uncomfortable, I'm just going to let the guitar feedback.
So these are more standard questions. Like, do you have like any rituals before going on stage or anything like that? Or even like you do vocal exercises?
No.
Okay, all right, cool. All right, so no. Yeah,
I do. I have a couple warm-ups, but I don't do them very often. My big thing is like if I'm driving somewhere, I'll sing in the car on the way there and try to like loosen some shit up.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I guess the everything flowing or whatever. Yeah.
I mean, usually before I play, currently, my old ritual used to be shot of tequila, smoke a cigarette, drink a bunch of water, play the show.
So the cigarette was kind of like the nicotine fix to relax you a bit? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Or like, I use cannabis. I like it. And
I'm very disappointed in you.
Oh no, Dad's disappointed. No, but it's very like I'll get high before I play, but I can't get too high.
Oh, geez, I couldn't get high at all, but I know.
I'll fuck with it. I'll be like, no, it's good. Like I got. We can ride this out, or like I'll take edibles. Like Cluttered played a show in Sydney, Nova Scotia for an industry showcase last year, and I had a 5 milligram vegan mushroom chocolate bar in my pocket.
Whoa!
And I ate half of it before we played.
Yeah.
And then it kicked in halfway through the set.
How'd that go?
Great.
Really?
Yeah, it went great.
Are you being sarcastic or serious?
No, it went great. I have my brain is weird. It works really well with things. But we started playing, and then I realized we did a song with John Creed, and we did a Hellfish cover because John's living in Lewisburg, Nova Scotia now.
Okay.
So John performed with us, and I was like, oh no, there's a gap. This is usually where I talk about the gentrification song. It's called Kanat and Shabukto. And I was just feeling spicy enough, and the mushrooms had just helped enough, and I was just like, this song is about gentrification. If you don't know what that is, Google it and look it up. Also, if you're a landlord, go fuck yourself. And it was a room full of like executives who like work for Sony and stuff. And I just saw like a bunch of people like literally collar tugging. And I was like, yeah. I was like, hey, you wanted the punk band at your industry showcase? You're getting the fucking punk band at your industry showcase. Like, and afterwards they're like, your banter was really good. And I was like, I'm high as shit. And then Botfly played and I was like watching Botfly while just like vibing out. It was intense.
That's like a lot of pressure, man.
The only time it hasn't been fun is one time I blacked out on stage, and that was, I didn't drink for a big chunk of my 20s.
But you mean when you say blackout, like you don't remember what happened, but you were still playing, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
I know exactly what happened. Fat Stupids were playing with B.A. Johnson, and we got moved from opening spot to closing spot.
Okay.
And we had been practicing earlier in the day, and as was the way that we operated as a band, we were drinking a lot.
Yeah.
And
the way we operate as a band was we were drinking a lot.
Yeah.
that's part of the operation protocols.
The replacements. It makes sense. And we went on stage, and I played one of what I was told was one of the best sets of my life until I came to about halfway through the set. No longer could play the songs we had been practicing for months. No longer could think of the lyrics to any of the songs I had written. And I panicked, and we just played Ramones songs for the rest of the set because that was the only thing my brain could retain, because I was playing, and then all of a sudden I came to, and I started slurring my words super hard, and it was so wild. It was like being outside of my body and then just being like sucked back in, and then just being like, uh-oh. So I don't drink a lot anymore.
Okay, so I guess I'm going to try to wrap it up here. I guess. So I guess this is like the final question.
Yeah.
It's kind of like so I kind of like relate to the idea of always trying to make stuff.
Yeah.
And perhaps we might have an illness where we can't stop. Can't stop,
won't stop.
Yeah, exactly. And let's say, for example, you like ended up on like a desert island.
Yeah.
You think when they like someone came to rescue you, you would have like built a whole fucking city on the island because you just like you need to like keep busy.
Oh, I would just fucking walk into the ocean.
You just commit suicide.
No, I mean, like, I would probably be like, is this island tropical and habitable?
Yeah.
Oh, there's no food and I'm going to starve to death? Like, walk into the ocean.
No, there's food. There's pineapples. There's mangoes.
Okay. I might just use that time to chill out a little bit.
You think so?
I think if the options are build a city, walk into the ocean, or chill out, I'm somewhere between walk into the ocean and chill out. Like, it's somewhere between those two.
I was thinking you're going to build a city.
If I built a city, I'd be like, this city is terrible. Please, I hope nobody is living here. The infrastructure is shoddy.
But you would...
I'm no city planner.
No, I'm not trying to...
I'm joking. I know what you're getting at.
Yeah, the idea is that, like a shark, you got to keep moving.
Yeah, no. Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, probably metaphorically, I'd be like, I guess I gotta fucking figure out civilization again, or I gotta make a boat or something. Like, I'd have to do something.
Yeah, like you wouldn't just be... I can't imagine you just chilling out every day.
No, God, no.
Okay.
I can barely be alone with my thoughts that long anyway.
Do you, when you sleep, do you listen to something before you go to sleep, or you listen? Go to sleep
I fall asleep with. I generally fall asleep with, like, YouTube or Netflix playing something in the background that I don't have to pay attention to. It's just like white noise, and I can just go to sleep. But the worst part is when you're watching something and then it goes to another video that's way too loud and it scares the shit out of you. And then you're like,
commercials are louder, like on YouTube, like the
commercials are louder than the videos themselves. Yeah, nothing's equalized.
Yeah, YouTube should like enforce like a standard like
audio quality.
Yeah, like even when you like import something and the audio is like really low, they should like force it to be like louder.
I'm surprised they don't, because like that's what Spotify does. When you submit songs to Spotify through a distro, it all gets mastered for Spotify.
Oh, does it really?
Yeah, anything that you like, you put into the streaming service, they like, you know, sometimes with DistroKid, they're like, you can pay extra and we can do it for you and maximize the loudness or whatever. But most of the time it's equalized. Sometimes it's not. Like Bandcamp is like very authentic and it's like whatever you put up is the streaming thing.
Oh yeah, because I always
but if you put it on like other streaming services, generally they tend to be like the fidelity is okay and they'll make it match volume wise with the other stuff.
I guess it's probably a good idea if you're like listening to like a stream of different music. I guess to keep it all the same level.
Yeah, I mean, like it kind of depends on how much that is in the original intention of the song. I guess, like if you're like, I want it to be quiet and shitty, like you know, is that the intention of the song or is that the way that the thing goes or whatever?
Well, like they're not fucking with like dynamics where it's quiet and loud.
No,
yeah, okay,
no,
yeah,
just like just overall levels. It's like, have you ever listened? Do you listen to the band Eric's Trip?
I definitely know that they're from the East Coast, right?
Yeah, they're from Moncton.
Yeah, okay. I couldn't think of a song by them, but I know I've heard the name.
Julie Dueron, who's like a solo artist and a performer. She plays here pretty regularly. She was the bass player in Eric's Trip.
Okay.
Their songs are all like kind of like lo-fi, but they were on Sub Pop, like big deal shit. But like those Eric Strip records are awesome. But if you listen to them on like streaming stuff, it kind of sucks. Like
what changes about it?
It just because they were like, you know, we recorded this on a cassette tape and then we put it on this or whatever, and like when you listen to it on certain streaming things, it almost feels like it loses some of the elements of like if you had a CD of it or had a vinyl of it or whatever, like it just loses a little bit. And like I find sometimes with lo-fi stuff, as much as I do love lo-fi stuff, I will listen to it on Bandcamp because it feels like more of an authentic way that is meant to be presented than put into like a streaming service where they maybe fuck with it after the fact and don't tell the artist, and then it just becomes this thing.
I had no idea they were doing that. It's crazy. Yeah, I always use Bandcamp like when I'm like working on like songs and like having them being mixed.
Yeah,
put them all on there and like
then listen to them together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and just try to figure out like what's wrong with this and get the levels right. And
yeah, totally.
Yeah,
that's rad.
Cool, man. What should I say? I guess we should cut it, but it's always super awkward to like end it.
No, I mean, like, you can ask me more questions or we can stop talking or whatever's good. This has been really lovely. Thank you for having me.
No, hope if you're down to record some stuff.
We're good.
Okay, so we're around the time when it's like it's time to cut it off, but it's like it's always super awkward to start. It's always super awkward to end.
You need like a theme song. You just be like, and now we're done, and then you roll the end credits.
It's like I gotta say some talk shows and be like, well, like, and after this commercial break or some shit like that. I don't know.
I mean, any of those work. But yeah.
Do you have a parting thing to say? Perhaps maybe like.
Whatever you do, try your best not to be a piece of shit.
That's good advice.
You know what the most punk thing is? Being nice.
Oh my God. Building
community. Having friends, people who will support you in ways that you didn't know that you were ever going to be supported.
Yeah.
All comes from just trying to be a nice and reasonable person. And cut.